They said he was too weak, too poor, too small to matter. In a world full of noise, his dreams were just a whisper. No one believed in him. No one saw the fire burning in his eyes. Except himself. This is the story of a boy the world ignored until the world had no choice but to watch. In a small, dusty town where dreams often dried up under the sun, there lived a boy named Kofi. His days started long before the rooster crowed. Every morning he stood by the roadside, helping his mother sell warm bread to the few people passing by. His clothes were worn, his feet bare. There were no fancy shoes, no colorful football boots, just a pair of tired sandals and a heart full of hope. After his morning duties, while other kids headed to school with their backpacks and laughter, Kofi would find his own field. It wasn't a pristine green pitch. It was a patch of rocky, uneven ground. He'd kick around a tattered ball, his bare feet dancing over sharp stones and thorns. Sometimes his feet would bleed. The cuts and bruises were a constant reminder of his reality. But he never complained. He never shed a tear. To him, football wasn't just a game. It was his sanctuary, his escape from a life that offered little else. With every kick, he wasn't just moving a ball. He was pushing away the weight of the world. At school, the playground was another battlefield. His classmates, with their clean uniforms and proper football gear, would point and laugh. "Look at the bread boy," they'd sneer. "He thinks he's a star." Their words were like tiny daggers. "You'll never be anything," one would say. "Football won't feed you," another would add. Even the teachers, with well-meaning but misguided advice, would pull him aside. "Focus on your studies, Kofi," they'd say. "Focus on real life. Football is just a distraction." The world seemed united in its effort to extinguish his dream. But their doubts only fueled his fire. Every night, after his chores were done and the house was quiet, Kofi's real work began. Under the flickering light of a single dim bulb in his small room, he trained. Alone. He ran in place until his legs burned. He dribbled an imaginary ball around shadows on the wall, visualizing defenders, hearing the roar of a crowd that existed only in his mind. He would whisper to the darkness, a promise to himself. One day, they will know my name." Then a glimmer of hope appeared on the horizon. A notice was posted in the town square. A local football academy was holding trials. This was it. This was his chance. The trial ground was 8 kilometers away, a long journey for a boy with no money for transport. So he walked. Under the scorching sun, dust caking his face, he walked. He had no agent to speak for him, no fancy gear to show off, just a burning belief that he belonged on that field. When his turn finally came, he ran onto the pitch with every ounce of energy he had. He poured years of silent training, frustration, and hope into those few minutes. He chased every ball, tackled with fierce determination, and shot with all his might. He left nothing behind. But as the minutes ticked by, the head coach, a man with a stern face and a clipboard, simply shook his head. He called Kofi over. "You're too small," he said, his voice flat and dismissive. "Not strong enough. Next." Those 2 words, "too small," crushed him. The 8-kilometer walk back home felt endless. Each step was heavier than the last. That night, Kofi sat in the darkness of his room and cried. He cried for the first time. Not because the coach had rejected him, not because he had failed. He cried because, for a fleeting moment, he almost believed them. For a moment, he almost gave up on himself. The next morning, as Kofi sat by the roadside, his spirit at its lowest, an old man he'd never seen before approached him. The man's face was lined with the wisdom of years. "I was at the trial yesterday," the old man said, his voice gentle. "I saw how you played. You don't lack talent, son. You lack opportunity." It turned out the man was a former coach, someone who had spent his life seeing the potential others missed. He saw the raw, untamed fire in Kofi. From that day forward, everything changed. The old coach, Mr. Abeku, took Kofi under his wing. Every evening after Kofi finished helping his mother, they would meet on that same rocky patch of ground. Mr. Abeku was tough. He taught Kofi not just skills, but discipline. He made him run until his lungs screamed for air. He taught him to read the game, to see plays before they happened. He taught him strength, not just of the body, but of the mind. "The biggest muscle is between your ears," he would say. Weeks turned into months. Months turned into a year, then 2. Kofi grew taller, faster, and stronger. His once skinny frame filled out, but the most significant change was invisible. He was no longer just a boy with a dream. He was a player with a purpose. 2 years later, another trial was announced. The same academy, the same opportunity. But this time, a different Kofi walked onto that field. He was no longer the desperate boy trying to impress everyone. He was calm, composed, fearless. He didn't play with frantic energy. He played with intelligence. He let the game come to him. Then came the moment. Kofi received the ball in the midfield. He looked up, and in a split second, he saw a run no one else did. With a single, perfectly weighted pass, he split the entire defense, putting the ball right at the striker's feet for an easy goal. A hush fell over the sidelines. A few minutes later, he found himself in front of the goal. He didn't blast it. He coolly placed it into the bottom corner, silencing the entire field. From the sideline, a familiar figure stood up abruptly. It was the same coach who had rejected him 2 years prior. "Who is that boy?" he demanded, pointing at Kofi. His assistant checked the list. "His name is Kofi, sir." That day, Kofi wasn't just selected. He was the first name on the list. Years flew by. The dusty town became a distant memory. Now, Kofi stood in the center of a massive, roaring stadium. 90,000 fans chanted his name. The flash of cameras was like lightning. This was the dream he had whispered to himself in the dark. It was real. He had made it. He never forgot where he came from. The first thing he did was buy his mother a beautiful house, one where she would never have to sell bread on a dusty road again. He paid for his siblings' education, giving them the opportunities he never had. The same people from his village who had once laughed at the red boy now gathered around televisions to cheer for their local hero. But Kofi never held any grudges. He never forgot the sting of their words, the pain of being ignored. He used it. It was the fuel that had propelled him here. His success didn't come because life was fair or easy. It came because when the world told him to stop, he kept going. When they told him he was too small, he grew taller. When they told him to give up, he fought harder. So if you're out there feeling ignored, if you're being doubted, if it feels like no one in the world believes in you, remember Kofi's story. Remember that rejection is not the end. It's a redirection. Your story is not over yet. The final chapter hasn't been written. You are the author. Now go and write it. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story if it inspired you.